All right, so let's see how many people I upset with this video. So for a very long time now, I have been putting off watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, both watching it and reading the manga, because it just didn't look like it was something that I would have gravitated towards. I wanted to understand the memes. I see the memes everywhere, and I'm like, there's part of me that wants to know this, but I didn't know anything about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, really. The only thing I knew about it was that it was a series that took place in different parts, and each part is a different generation of the Joestars, and I knew that it had a really cool power system that a lot of people have told me, like one of the best shonen power systems out there, and I knew it was a very long-running series going on ever since the 80s, and you definitely sense those 80s vibes here in Season 1. So for a long time, I've been putting it off, and people have kept asking, are you going to watch JoJo's? Are you going to review JoJo's? Are you going to read JoJo's? JoJo review when? People have been doing this ever since I started being seen on YouTube a little bit as a manga reviewer. People have been saying, you have to read, you have to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I continue to put it off until finally, shout out to my Patreon supporter, Master T. Master T, thank you so much, buddy. Really, really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Put in a video request for me to review Season 1 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I knew was going to take some time, and which we worked out, like, I'm not going to be able to make this video right away. It's going to take me some time to get through this series. So eventually I did. And eventually, here is the video. Now, I want to preface this video by saying that these are just my thoughts and opinions, and what I think should definitely not matter against what you think. I also think it's very important for me to, in order to uphold my integrity, to tell you the truth about the things that I feel when I watch something or read something or review something, and I'm not just saying what people want to hear. I also have taken into account that I know that a lot of people say that JoJo's is really hard to get into, and that the first couple parts are the weakest. So I definitely understand that, and yeah, I hope that's the case. Oh, man. Okay. All right, you know what? I'm going to start with everything that I loved about this series, and I will start right away by saying Phantom Blood is part 1. If you guys don't know, Season 1 of the anime, which is what I'm technically reviewing here, Season 1 has part 1 and part 2 of the series. Part 1 taking place at the very origins of the Joestar sort of bizarre adventure world, and then part 2 being the grandson of Joseph Joestar, the lead character of part 1. Part 1 is the first 9 episodes. And most people, and what I've heard, is that part 1 is the weakest, and that people really, really don't like part 1. I will tell you straight up that I liked part 1 way more than part 2. I really, really did. But the reason why is because it sparked more to my sensibilities, because I am very much a horror guy. I love things about monsters and twisted creatures and vampires and stuff, and that's what this was. I didn't know that JoJo's had vampires in it. Season 1 is all about vampires, so I was like, all right, bring it on, bring on the vampires. I'm totally on board with that. I like the horror vibe, the horror aesthetic, along with sort of like the shonen battle aesthetic kind of thrown in there as well. So I really, really enjoyed all that stuff. And I loved Dio. Dio is a fucking badass, and he was my absolute favorite part of Season 1 by far. This guy is just an evil dickhead bastard who just enjoys being that evil dickhead bastard. This is one of the things that I really loved about Dio, because, and I love all sorts of antagonists and villains in series, but I will say there is something very special about having an antagonist that really has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Like, to fully embrace a character that just gets off on being such a sociopathic douchebag, and that is what Dio is. He's this dude that comes to live with this rich family, and he's being treated as one of their own, as a child of the rich. I forget Jonathan's father's name, but you know, Dio's being treated as one of the family, as a brother, but behind the scenes he's just constantly being an asshole to Jonathan. In the very first episode, he does a bunch of shit, like he does some horrible stuff, man. Like he kisses his girlfriend, which was her first kiss, so there's that, and that's the meme. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is he kills the dog. He kills Jonathan's dog, I think in the first or second episode, and he doesn't even do it, like, in the middle of the night. He doesn't poison the dog. He throws the dog in the fucking furnace. Like, this guy is a piece of shit. And then it only gets amplified once he gets vampire powers. There's like this stone mask that if you get blood on it, I don't really know the whole lore of how it all works. Like, I was watching it, I was paying attention, I promise, but it's JoJo's, it's wacky, it's bizarre, so whatever. Stone mask, vampires, that's where we're at. So Dio as a vampire, Now, I'd seen memes of Dio, and I had an awareness that Dio was the main antagonist of JoJo's, but I didn't know Dio was a vampire. So that was my that was the most pleasant surprise that I got out of season 1, was seeing that. And seeing how, that amplified power kind of pushed him even more so into that, like, quality of himself, and that he fully just embraced being the antagonist of the series. So I love that, man. I love that, and I really did. Every time Dio was on screen, it lit up. It got 100 times better to me. Most of the time, I was waiting for Dio to come back. He was just so fun and engaging to watch. It was just great seeing somebody be that much of a dick and just fully embrace it to the core. Jonathan, on the other hand, I liked him as a character. I did. He reminded me a lot of Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. One, in just the way that he looked, like his body type, the hair, the outfits and everything, just like pretty much just Fist of the North Star. Just imagine if Kenshiro, instead of growing up in like a post-apocalyptic wasteland, actually grew up as like a rich person. So or like a high-class, high-status person. So instead of being like the cold sort of man of few words as Kenshiro is, Jonathan is more so as like a proper upstanding person as far as his etiquette and his manners go. And so like he's just a good dude. He's like he is the antithesis of Dio. Like, he just is a really good dude. So I liked his character as well, but being that like upstanding sort of like moral high ground Superman-ish character, he wasn't as fun to watch on screen as Dio was. There were other great characters that I liked in it too. I really liked Speedwagon. He was awesome. Speedwagon was awesome because he had no powers, he had no abilities or anything. He was just sort of this everyday average guy that just tagged along. Really shouldn't be there. He's in extremely dangerous situations and fighting monsters, but he's just kind of along for the ride. And then there was Zeppeli, who taught Harmon to Jonathan. Now, the Harmon power system in JoJo's, I was a little bit underwhelmed by. Now, I know that in future JoJo's there's stands, and like I was aware that stands were a thing, so I was expecting that, but instead I got Harmon. And there are things that I like about it, but there's things that I don't. One thing that I like about it is that I do like how it draws on, the technique of breathing. It's very Wim Hof. It's very about like just finding your calm, finding your center, that sense of meditation, breathing in and like using the air to your benefit. It's also like harnessing the power of the sun, which is also like absorbed through us. So it's using concepts that come from like very like naturalistic spiritual things, how we absorb energy from the sun, and that like benefits our health and air, just the air in our lungs, just very simple things that people don't pay attention to. Like if you're into like meditation and fitness and stuff like that, you're usually a bit more like keen to that stuff, but if you're not, it's something you either take for granted or don't think too much about. So I like that JoJo's was incorporating that into its power system. However, the power system itself, I don't understand it. I don't understand the rules. I don't understand the limitations. I don't really understand how it works. It seems like it's just magic. It seems like it can just do anything. Like you can just like focus your Harmon to transport it through objects and connect objects to other objects, or you can put it into your fingers and climb walls, or you can like zap a hole through somebody, or you can like reverse your aging or stay young really long. It's just like, it has so many things it can do, and maybe that's the point, and maybe I'm just being like dumb for not getting it, but like whenever a character would bust out a new technique or a new move or something with Harmon, it seemed to come out of nowhere. I don't remember seeing them try to learn that while they were training, and then all of a sudden they could just do it, and they could do it perfectly. They got a name for the attack and everything, and I'm just like, where did you learn that? What is this move? Like, how does Harmon work with this? Like, I didn't understand the rules to it. I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, it just seemed like you could really do anything with it, and it seemed like it was something that could be learned relatively simplistically, because it got learned Jonathan learned it extremely fast, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. You don't even get introduced to it until like episode 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden the show shifts, and it's like all it is about Harmon. And it's like, I kind of like the idea of Harmon, but I just didn't like, I don't know. I didn't understand its full capabilities, and then every time a new character did something with Harmon. It just confused me. I'm like, where did this come from? I don't know. But anyways, though I know I said that I liked Phantom Blood more than the second part, Battle Tendency. So I liked Phantom Blood more, but that doesn't mean that I was like head over heels about Phantom Blood. I liked the aesthetic that it was about vampires. I really loved Dio. I liked some aspects of the Harmon power system, but a lot of this was a slog to get through. A lot of it was like fighting a lot of like throwaway enemies that didn't mean anything. A lot of it was just sort of like things that came out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden there's like a giant creature and he seems really powerful, but then they defeat him in one episode, and it just didn't really do it for me. And here's the thing too, and this goes on and this amplifies in part 2, is that JoJo's is obviously a series that's extremely exaggerated. And like, look, that's totally cool. That's fine. You know, I'm an anime fan. I'm used to like over explanation when people are using techniques and everything, and like how a character will do something and then another character will commentate from the sidelines and just like explain it down to its bare details. I've watched plenty of anime before. I know the system. But JoJo's does it to such an extreme degree that it felt really, really comical, and I could not tell how seriously the show was trying to take itself, because there are some times where you think it's like trying to get out an emotional moment, but then it amplifies itself and exaggerates itself to the point where like it no longer becomes something that I feel like I could emotionally attach to. And I think that's my biggest problem with JoJo, is that I felt no emotional connection to any of the characters, whether in part 1 or part 2. Is that I just didn't care. There's moments where there's character deaths, and it should be a really strong emotional moment. I should be caring, and it spends a lot of time and a lot of focus to show how upset the characters are. But I think like just between the tone and the music and the exaggeration and the exaggerated expressions and everything, it just like didn't hit me to the point where I really cared about these characters, to the point where I should have. To the point where the life or death battles really should have had me on the edge of my seat. I should have been excited. I should have been anticipating the next attack, anticipating the next fight. But a lot of it, I really, really wasn't. Who was the character? Caesar, right? Caesar was the grandchild of Zeppeli. Spoiler alert, by the way. I'm talking about spoilers in this video. And he has this big emotional moment, and this was the only moment, and this is in part 2. This is the only moment where I almost felt something. Maybe I'm just like a blank, detached human being that just like is dealing with a lot in life, and I can't feel emotion right now. Maybe that's the case. I'm not saying it's not. But there's this huge moment where he passes away, and Joseph is like holding him in his arms, or like they find the little like cross cement thing that fell on top of him, and there's just this big like emotional moment, and I didn't feel anything. It didn't do it for me. Like I didn't feel it. And then there was the antagonist of part 2, the Pillar Men, and oh my god, dude, I could not stand these characters. They annoyed the hell out of me. They in no way compare to Dio on any level. They annoyed the hell out of me. They felt generic as hell. They were just like really, you know what? And I said that it was kind of similar to Fist of the North Star. I think Fist of the North Star has some really good villains, but a lot of them are throwaway kind of villain of the week. A lot of them are just, I'm a really strong dude and you could never defeat me, and I'm going to show you how much strong I am by doing this. And, you know, then there's a fight with Kenshiro and they eventually lose. And that's kind of how the Pillar Men felt. They felt like they just showed up just to show that they're powerful people for Joseph to fight. They wanted this MacGuffin of the red diamond thing that was going to allow them to be in the sun and a bunch of other stuff. I just felt like all three of them really kind of let me down. I felt like all of them were really boring. I know there's the one that kind of like recognized the warrior within Joseph, and, you know, they had their whole moment upon his final defeat and stuff, but like they're going around in like the chariot thing, and I was just like, I don't know, man, I was bored while watching that. Like I was trying so hard to get through the second part here, and like there's this whole scene that takes place like in like Germany, and they got like Nazis because now it's in the 30s, and so there's like Nazi experimentation going on, and I was really trying to enjoy Joseph, but to me, I just didn't like him. I just didn't really care for him. I didn't really care for him. I didn't care for Caesar that much. And then Lisa, right, who was his mom, and then that makes a really awkward scene in retrospect, because there's a scene earlier on where he doesn't know that that's his mom, and he's watching her take a bath through a keyhole, and he was getting kind of turned on by it, and then come to find out like 10 episodes later, oh, that's actually your mom. She just stays young by utilizing her Harmon. I guess, you know, I'm not going to judge because he didn't know, right? He didn't know at the time or anything. Like, you know, who would know? But that's, yeah. That's a moment. So I gotta be honest, guys. I gotta be honest that, like, the action scenes themselves, they didn't really do anything for me. They didn't blow me away. I didn't think they were, like, incredibly well choreographed or anything. They didn't do anything too fancy for me. The over-exaggeration of everything, I know that's part of the fun of JoJo's. And look, I'm a boring, angry old man, okay? So it didn't do it for me. I didn't get emotionally invested in the characters. I wanted to. I tried to. It didn't work for me. And the main protagonists, both Jonathan and Joseph. Jonathan I liked more, but neither of them that I really cared for. Pretty much the only character that I would say I loved in JoJo's was Dio. And I like the whole vampire thing. I like the horror vibes of part 1, but then part 2 got into the whole, like, German soldier experimentation and pillar men and stuff, and I didn't care for that at all. It didn't do it for me, man. And I know that there were moments where I'm just trying to get through it, and it was a little bit of a slog to get through. But you know what? I owed it to my Patreon supporter, Master T. Thank you so much for the video suggestion, and thank you so much for the donation, and thank you so much for supporting the channel, as always, man. I really, really appreciate it. Longtime supporter. But at the same time, as a longtime supporter, and for the rest of you guys watching this, I hope you guys would rather me be honest about my feelings rather than just to say JoJo's is good just to get on the good side of the JoJo's fandom. I'm not trying to get on the bad side of the JoJo's fandom either. Don't get me wrong. I just got to tell you guys my actual, like, honest, legit thoughts, because if I don't, then you're never going to take any video that I do seriously. So that's it, man. So I didn't really care for it. It didn't do it for me. I'm not motivated to watch season 2. I already know what the comments are going to say. People say it gets better, it constantly gets better as it goes on. But, like, 26 episodes, look, it might not seem like a lot to watch, but it's a lot to watch, especially when, like, I have a lot of other things that I need to watch and catch up on and make videos and all this stuff. And then the next season, I already looked, it's like 48 episodes long. So it's like double the length of season 1. And considering that I just didn't care for season 1, I don't know, man. I don't know if there is motivation to continue this at all. But that's it, man. So those are my thoughts. So I'm sorry. I don't want to, like, I don't want to get anyone mad. It's just my opinion. I'm just some random nerdy dude on fucking YouTube. Don't take my opinion to heart. If you made it this far and you don't hate me yet, please give the video a thumbs up, because it would really help out. All interaction with the video will help it be seen in the algorithm. So please like the video, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost to the end of the year. I wanted to reach 75K by the end of the year. We're probably going to reach 72. So that's pretty damn close. I'll still consider it a minor victory. So thank you guys so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe if you want to. I'm sorry if you guys were expecting me to love it. I'm really sorry, but gotta tell you the truth. Other than that, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you next time.